technically, we understand it's a bracket reset, so we would be going certainly some sort of distance. But the journey, the race, starts here in draft. First ban on the board for Nouns Esports in the purple. Zacian, Gen 5 with Umbreon. No sign of Psyduck yet, but you'd imagine coming sooner rather than later.
Nouns Esports definitely very lots of ingenuity from their team, as we've seen in the winners final set, pulling out a Greedent, but also a Trick Room Mimikyu. Taking a look at the band here, nothing too out of the ordinary. Psyduck might be that last band for Sazero. They're kind of rotating around a couple of different Pokemon, and Psyduck might come out to play here, Relic.
Okay, so if Nouns don't select Psyduck, is that technically that? I mean,
there it is.
There it is. Blaine has been let out the dumpster, and he is going. He is turned up. He said it's garbage time today, baby, because I'm going to be able to play this Pokemon. No Mimikyu, as you rightly say. That would be one of, I wouldn't say it's one of Toon's preferred options, but we did see Toon utilize it very well. Utah locking in early draft Leafeon, and Sazuro there with that Blissey, maybe setting up for the Mewtwo Y later on.
I wanted Psyduck to be our Pokemon to watch, but it's been our Pokemon to watch on the bench. And with one game for Nouns Esports to play this Psyduck, we're going to see potentially why this Pokemon has been banned for the entirety of today's event. Its passive ability, its ability to disable quite literally the move that Psyduck can play, has been something devastating for teams to go up against. We'll see how well this Psyduck is going to perform in today's event, or this match specifically. But Gen 5 has a really strong roster. Has not selected their attacker just yet. Lunder, their 10th pick gutter option, has a lot to pick from. But Adesu is going to be pulling out the Sylveon. I believe the only attacker today that has been playing Sylveon. I think in the last two events as well. Sylveon has been a Pokemon that has gotten a slew of nerfs, but also a slew of buffs as well.
Okay,
continue to cook as well. A Cinderace. Take a look at that, Relic.
Let me check my notebook. I have to try and remember what moves this Pokemon has. It's been so long since I've seen a Cinderace out in. I mean, especially in a grand final. That is legitimate insanity. We have a Glaceon available. That's like Lunder's symbiotic pick. You think Lunder, you think Glaceon, and it's a Cinderace. Crazy. Absurd. No defenders for Nouns. I guess they got a Psyduck. Does it even count? I don't even know. Adesu, Sylveon, off the back of nerfs. Let us not forget this Sylveon. And yet he still has faith. Toon on the Talon. Who are you going to find as your targets? Well, maybe the Cinderace on top of the Leafeon as well, but I'm presuming, not that I know my recent Cinderace tech necessarily, Draku, but you would assume that they're going to run Faint, which surely counters Brave Bird or Fly if you time it correctly. My mind has been decimated, and it's just game one. Like, what a day. What a day.
Yeah, I don't know if Gen 5 is trying to maybe counter-pick this Psyduck. Psyduck, of course, picked in that first pick slot for Nouns Esports. But Gen 5 got to be worried about a couple of different things. One, Garchomp's abilities have all been increased in their own cooldowns. So with that disable debuff from that Psyduck onto the Garchomp, even the Leafeon as well, it's the extension of Aerial Ace is also, or the cooldown of Aerial Ace is also been extended as well. So first time we're seeing Psyduck is going to be in this bottom path. Toon in that bottom path as well. And we're going to see an early invade for Blaine.
Indeed, the grand finals begin here, and the grand finals will not begin with a steal for Blaine, but continuing to pressure Utah back onto that pad, and look how much shielding you get from that T2 at such an early point. Big pressure on this bottom path from Gen 5, looking towards that bottom path Talonflame, bottom path Fletchling rather, doesn't sound right, but check this out, bruv, with the K opener on Qatar.
Mind you, Nouns Esports not playing a traditional defender across their roster. I feel like Psyduck kind of plays as that support or defender-esque Pokemon because of all of its abilities to hinder the enemy team. Also generally very bulky as a Pokemon, especially when they have that full headache gauge at full. But here we go. First engagement between the two teams, and Nouns Esports nowhere to be found.
Double Evo, Gabite, and Blissey. Nouns Esports have rotated to the bottom path. Bruv, joined by that Fletchinder now. Kumbuska nowhere to be seen. Gatlu currently searching the central area for any sort of wild Pokemon that they can find. Another invade and another KO onto Qatar with this Snorlax. Nouns Esports finding a couple of them, and check this out. It's back up with a Desu. Big Razor Leaf is not able to steal it away from themselves, but Cesaro does lock down the orange buff. Meanwhile, Gatlu trying to go into a fight with Megu. I wouldn't risk that personally.
Yeah, very scary with those auto attacks between the two Pokemon. And Adesu, again, has time and time again proven they are such a powerful force to be dealt with on this Pokemon. Again, Pokemon that has gotten some nerfs, gotten some buffs across the board for its defense and special defense buff, like a lot of the attackers have been receiving. So it's going to be a safeguard Blissey, most likely a safeguard and helping hand Blissey, especially when you have a Cinderace and another auto attacker, that Garchomp specifically. It's almost like a budget Mewtwo Wise, like I call Cinderace sometimes.
43-0 as 2.5 minutes rolls on by. Megu again utilizing this Dragon Rush very effectively. Mystical Fire Adesu watching brief as we await our first set of Reggies. Brave Bird steals away that Bunnelby. Qatar very isolated on this bottom path, but I think Gen 5 have other ideas.
Push on forward to maybe get some scores on this tier 1 Adesu. Kind of caught on an island in the speed flux zone. They're really fighting over that Baltor running through the speed flux zone. They have an X speed. I think Lunder's going to be able to lock in eject button followed by that blaze kick. Can be able to get the knockout there. Still level 6 on the Garchomp. Should be able to get both abilities online now. And a lot of resources for Nouns Esports in this top path, but even more so for Gen 5. Flame Sweep going directly into the wall. A very consistent crowd controlling tool. 100% effectiveness on the walls of Thea Sky Ruins.
Name a more iconic duo than Flame Sweep and the wall that's closest to you. 2 KO streak though for Bruv on this Psyduck, and that has completely collapsed for Gen 5. Okay, there's a reset for the Regieleki. Cesaro throwing themselves at the zone. They will not be able to counter the Regieleki, or they won't be able to try and steal. No Egg Bomb, of course, on this particular build. And now almost a full rotate for Nouns Esports. That zone is going down on top path as Cesaro again looks towards the buffs, only because of Desu roaming into the enemy central area yet again.
Really interesting first half of this match so far. I would say it's a little bit conservative, but a couple of members of Nouns Esports might prove me wrong as a commentator, specifically Adesu and the support player for Nouns Esports. Toonslim is going to go in deep onto the Garchomp, going to be able to get a knockout there. This is a Brave Bird Talonflame relic. First time we've seen it today. Again, Brave Bird Talonflame. Most recently got a buff, has now increased damage reduction after it hits up the Brave Bird.
Oh, Qatar, my goodness, so isolated, no chance. That's 70 points of Dunkington Central that we're watching on our screens there, folks. 29-point over cap, 217-21 as we approach halftime.
Yeah, pretty significant lead for Nouns Esports, not only in the scoreline, but also in leveling as well. Couple of members for Gen 5. They are Pokemon that scale rather late into the game. Level 11 is that benchmark moment for Cinderace, gets increased auto attack speed. Same thing for Garchomp. I think the thing that I'm going to be watching, Relic, is how both this Cinderace and this Garchomp are going to play around that Blissey. Blissey is going to enhance the speed of those auto attacks, and especially in the longer team fight engagements, those auto attacks can do a lot of damage.
Gatlu with a poke onto Reggie Rock. Gen 5 taking the responsibility out of their hands as the Sai comes through. Blazing bicycle kick! Oh, absolutely nailed that. Lunder, Livid Outrage, finds a very similar fate actually to that earlier Flame Sweep, aka the wall, and up goes the shield as Qatar. Oh, Megu found in the tall grass. Oh, punished as the power nap comes out. Overheat, wow, completely shatters that shield.
Real fun, real cheesy, real flavors. Craving something real? We serve it. Burger King 4-Cheese Whopper, serving cheesy realness. Order now.
The Flame Sweep misses Utah, who kind of hops, skips, and jumps over it. 272-21, and Gen 5 at least regaining some of the level situation into their favor.
Nouns Esports a really dominant position as we head into the final quarter of this game. This is now more than a 250-point lead. Another Regieleki is going to spawn onto the field, most likely the final Regieleki, at least for this game 1 of our grand finals set. You see Nouns Esports really pushing on forward to ensure that Gatlu has enough space to take this off of the field. I think if there's one thing in favor, a really unfortunate reset there for Gatlu is going to continue to combo onto that Regieleki. But as you can see on that minimap, Gen 5 starting to position for maybe a push on that bottom path before maybe retreating back to their right side. But Nouns Esports really spreading out a net in the central area of the field.
Brother's been an absolute menace on this side. Swimming around right now as the Dragon Rush will look to claim a couple more of these clouds. Overheat those, steals away the rest. Between Lunda and Megu here, that Regieleki will be dispelled. Allows them a little bit of time to rotate onto bottom path, where we see Nouns are already setting up the stalls. There will be enough time to take this bottom Regi, whatever it might be, Draku, but the identity of the Regi could also be essential in either cementing Nouns and their dominance in this final 2 minutes, or giving Gen 5 the boost that they need to actually compete in the first place.
Very quiet middle part of the game. There's going to be one more Southern Regi spawn. It's going to be a huge gamble for Nouns Esports, and it is going to be a Regi steal. We know how polarizing this objective can be. They are going to wait out maybe some time to take full advantage of that Regi steal buff. Gen 5 is going to score in this top path, bring them a little closer to scoring parity, but this Regi steal buff is going to be devastating. The damage output from Nouns Esports might be the thing that tips it over the scale.
Oh, that's a big heavy slam into the shield, and Nouns Esports at 6s and 7s here. Big dive, overheat, and the Talon Flame is taking out the support network immediately. The Bliss Assistance was fired off onto Lunda, but he has to rotate round 2. Never mind, because Toon is starting to cook. 2 KO streak. 2 major players for Gen 5 out. Make that 3 thanks to Gatlu. No mercy from this particular German. Megu lies in wait. Lunda also got that blazing bicycle kick. Nouns Esports not fully committed to the rip, and now they turn again. Megu makes their presence known. Livid Outrage is available. Lunda's been taken out, but it doesn't matter because Overheat's simply too good.
Oh, it was the best securing tool in the game, even though it was nerfed in the most recent balance patch. It is so impactful for what it is able to do with objectives on the field. Nouns Esports with a lot of points in their pocket, postering up on all of these goal zones. Gatlu has lost their shield, but has all the time in the world to score onto this tier 2 goal zone. 420 to 121, 1 minute and 1 game remaining in order to secure that prize pool for the grand finals.
Oh, and Draco, it's such a bad omen on a day like today where the game 1 winner has gone on to win game 2. Are Nouns Esports really going to go undefeated today? It's so interesting, isn't it, when we looked at that early season switch for Soryu, 4 KO streak for Toon, by the way, seeing Blaine step into the squad. But I tell you what, this coach has refound his fighting form, an essential element that has allowed the likes of a Desu to flex, allowed Toon to roam the central area at his own discretion. Gatlu feeling as good as we've ever seen him. Nouns Esports, oh, what a relief for their fans. They look so back.
They have 2 bird Pokemon on the side of Nouns Esports, but the wind beneath their wings has definitely been the impact that Blaine has provided for their team. They demand attention in the central area, trying to get some farms, stealing wild Pokemon, being an absolute nuisance. But in times of need, a hero has definitely emerged for Nouns Esports. We talk about Gatlu, we talk about Toon, but Blaine has really shown out in today's event, as well as the AOS Cup play-in finals.
It is a 4-digit game. 1,066 to 121 the final score. Only 4 KOs for a G5 squad who must be shook to the core. Was that Cinderace the right call? Was it a throwaway game? Were Nouns Esports simply better in every department? And the big...
As you predicted, rather so graciously, Gen 5 is going to be in that first pick selection. Umbreon's going to be the first ban of choice for Gen 5. To go back onto your question about what Nouns Esports should do here, they got a couple of games to give, right? Obviously, they might want to grab that holiday money rather early on to make this a full sweep, not lose a single map today, but got a couple of maps to give. I think one of the interesting things that Nouns Esports can do here is go something very unconventional. I mean, we saw
What?
As soon as I say that, Clefable is going to be the second ban of choice here. This is going to allow the likes of Blissey to go through. Hoopa, obviously a really strong choice. Could we be seeing maybe a green come out here? Come on, Gatlu, give us a green once again.
No, I think if I'm reading this correctly, surely Blissey Miraidon first picks. There's the Miraidon. And here comes the Blissey. I think Nouns have actually played a blinder here. They've kind of thrown away their last pick, but because they're second and they get to choose 2, it means that if we didn't see Megu picking up Zacian, then maybe Nouns would have picked up Zacian. What we do know is that Gen 5 are going to be ensuring that the Hooper is in their corner, and Qatar's going to be going on to that Slowbro again.
All right, Gatlu, let's see what you got for us here. I know you're hovering over a couple of different, really exciting picks here. Green might come out to play. Right now, Gen 5 has a lot of really high tempo, really good snowballing across their team, but they're going to go ahead and bulk up President Adesu. Should feel very safe. 2 defenders and this Blissey supporting those defenders. 2 now, most likely is going to go, they could go back to the Talonflame once again. I expect something to be of high burst damage potential for Toon. Utah, this is the first time we're seeing the Absol today. I think Absol was pivotal in their performance in the AOS Cup play-in finals. Glad to see it come out here, but let's see what Toon got in the bag here. I think Nouns Esports, again, got a couple of games to give. They're going to pull out the Cerulege. I think going down the proverbial totem pole for all rounders. Cerulege lacking on some play. It's still really strong all rounder, really devastating Unite move, but a lot of all rounders right now really strong in the metagame.
You know, the real move, if Toon properly wanted to mess with Gen 5, would be pick Cinderace. Show Gen 5 how it's done. Gen 5, interestingly, of course, Utah going on to this Absol, though. So we got 2 high burst potential Pokemon. Of course, you mentioned the Cerulege as well with that Revenant Rend. Certainly a lot of targets that you look at with that Revenant Rend, as long as Toon stays on top of the level situation, and you're worried about their survival, given there's not a lot of sustain from Sazuro as the support Hooper, and that, Qatar is not going to last long if it's literally 1v4 or 1v5. The thing is that Gatlu pick somewhat countered by Icicle Spear on Lunda. I can see the thinking behind that. Again, I think it's a game too late for Glaceon to really get a one-up on Nouns Esports, so to speak. But at the very least with Icicle Spear, it'll mean that any health that is being regened by that Greedent will at least be somewhat nullified. Not that you're going to be able to deal with the Greedent anyway, because it would have gone into the next postcode by the time you chase it down. But that's kind of it. It's not about taking down the Greedent, it's about making sure that the Greedent doesn't get in your head and that you focus on the real priority targets.
Very bulky bottom path, but Gen 5, the back's against the wall in our grand final set. Nouns Esports, our orange team. Gen 5, our purple team. Again, Nouns Esports, 1 game away. That Lion Ship prize at the end of today's event.
$3,500 total. The breakdown is $1,500 for the winner and $1,000 for second. So $500 difference. That ain't exactly chump change here. An early Evo, though, for Lunda, and Gatlu already starting to steal the fruit. Has that shield, has those berries, pops the X speed. Easy as pie.
I wouldn't say their efforts are fruitless, even if they aren't able to take any EXP and maybe get some stacks for themselves. Just a nuisance. That is exactly what Greedent is aimed to do. Almost level 5 is the Greedent, not going to be level 5 going into those 850 birds. Pretty traditional rotation here for the teams, but we might be seeing the Hoopa maybe rotate down to the bottom. No, checking to make sure there's no rotation to the top path. 2 members in the top, 3 members in the bottom.
Hadron Engine down. Megu has to pop the X speed there, explain. As Toon slowly rotates north, we see a little bit of a faster rotate from Absol. Oh, stepped out of line too much. The Shedinja doll is going to be popped more out of, I think, pure fear than anything else. A little bit of a better look here in this early game for Gen 5. Plenty of vulnerabilities stolen on this top path.
To be expected in this top path, I think Zacian compared to that Miraidon in that top lane carry role, I think Zacian just has a stronger presence. But Gatlu making their presence known here in this bottom path. Once again, going to be grabbing these citrus berries, burst out with speed, with that X speed back over to the right side of the field. And I think they've been doing a really good job at limiting Gatlu for their stacks, but once they get into this end game, Gatlu's going to be very difficult to take down.
Megu has one target and one target only,
No.
but Utah, it's going to be a trade with Toon, the two central area roamers, both meeting their end for the moment, at least back to the Pokemon Center, returning to the field in quick order too.
In this bottom path, Lunder is going to be honing their Icicle Spears and these two defenders. Typically talk about Glaceon being that tank buster type Pokemon, and especially when you have two defenders on the field, I think that Icicle Spear is a beautiful pick like you were talking about before. Can also just lock into the green. Green is sometimes very difficult to aim at, especially if you have some skill shot abilities. Don't have to worry about that with this Icicle Spears. Birds on the field, ripped off the field very, very quickly. 18 points to 0. Very conservative start to the game, Relic.
Not so conservative for Utah, though, on that level 9, already well ahead of the curve, and I'm sorry, but that is poor. The timing perfect from Megu, who has really just reined in this top path to their own one. So we've got the Glacial Stage down as Nouns Esports aim to go after the Regirock 4 on this bottom path. Gatlu, by the way, objectively wearing the best hollow wear in the game. That's just a fact. Revenant Rend, here's another fact for you. Takes away the Regirock before Gen 5 even got a sniff. Oh, it's a Psycho cut down, but forced back into their own base. Here is Utah, maybe looking for another entry point. Lunder on the chase now with these Icicle Spears as well. Nouns Esports disengage.
Really clean fight for Nouns Esports, able to take the first objective off of the field. This is a very much better look for Gen 5 going into the halfway point of the game relative to game number 1. Again, Utah on this Absol has been pivotal to this current field state for their team. But looking into the later stages of the game, again, looking for Megu to really have an outstanding performance in these larger team fight engagements. And here comes Gatlu with that Belch, really good, strong securing tool. Can they get this one here? They do! The Belch able to pull that one away.
You just felt like it was inevitable. Icicle Spears eaten up by this big fat squirrel who goes on the hunt once again with the Belches. Lots of shielding done, and that is a walk-in for the Regieleki. Toon falls, but the big berry belly flop will push Gen 5 back. 3 scores, 12 points. 5 points, and are they going to get another 10 or another 5 in rather for the overtime? No, here comes a 35 from Gatlu. Oh, Nouns Esports going from strength to strength.
Oh, an exclamation point with a 35-point overcap in that top pad. Last Citrus Berry to maybe push on to this tier 1 goal zone. As we head into the halfway point of the game, let's go ahead and take a look at our field state so far. Relic, 61 points for Gen 5, 1-3-3 for Nouns Esports. Another really nice score in this bottom path. I think more importantly, Nouns Esports has continued to maintain the lead, maintain the gas, and now this green is at level 10, matching some of the members on Gen 5. It's starting to scale into the late game. This is a position where you do not want to be, and Greedent is terrifying into the late game. If it gets some levels, even parity is something difficult to deal with.
Up next on the docket, it's another Regirock. Psycho cut onto it, but Gen 5, understandably, very scared to engage. Slow beam down onto Toon, and there goes the Midnight Slash to finish the job! But I think the Meteor Storm has stolen it away from Gen 5. Oh, no, it hasn't. How did Lunder get this? It's another how did Lunder moment. 2 KO streak for Utah. I don't think they're going to turn around this team fight necessarily, Gen 5, even with the defensive and special defensive buffs. But Megu has at least dispelled the threat. 2 KO streak for Gatlu, by the way. 89 to 133, but that was a crucial secure for Gen 5.
Yeah, I think if they were to lose that one there, this might spell disaster for Gen 5. A really good team fight, or at least a 2v1 going in the way of Megu, now level 13, able to KO the level 12 Saraledge. We got 1 minute 45 seconds before the final stretch. Last gutter time pick here. Daesu once again is going to be fine.
Real fun, real cheesy, real flavors. Burger King 4 Cheese Whopper.
The end of the Pokemon Center on the other side of that Shedinja doll. Player has really been very quiet in game number 2. But here we go. Another objective on the field. Very quick rip between these two auto-attacking Pokemon. But Green is almost there, able to secure that. No, Utah with their Absol able to pull another objective away.
Really nice pressure from Nouns Esports on this bottom path, though, ensures that Gen 5 can't go for the big push on that top path, and it means that Nouns Esports will not see that Regieleki hit the tier 1. Gatlu is more than happy to sit up there. They're level 12. They've already met their level requirement for endgame. Instead, Nouns Esports focus on this bottom path defense. In fact, never mind. Gatlu just let the Regieleki hit. 343, and Gen 5 take the points lead.
Take a look at leveling on Megu Zacian.
I
Level
know.
14 on that Zacian is going to be such a dominant force in the end game. That is my Pokemon to watch once that final stretch begins. This bottom path has been a tale of two cities. There's going to be one more southern Reggie Roulette spawn, and Relic, this might be the final stretch beginning just early. Let's go ahead and roll the dice here, and we do get a Reggie Ice spawning on the field, and very quickly, just like that Regieleki taking off very quickly. Lunder, another secure in this bottom objective.
Oh, you can hear the sizzle. Gen 5's in the kitchen, but let's see whether they can serve up the dish. Best served hot on this particular cold winter's day. 152 to 133. It's not going to be as worrisome for Nouns Esports. That's going to be a free reset for Bruv. But Gen 5 have the level advantage. Nouns Esports have to micro the heck out of these last 2 minutes. Oh, never mind. They're going for the rip.
Oh, very fast flip. We don't see whether they're...
Oh,
my God!
unbelievable!
And just like that, in a blink of an eye, Nouns Esports on the verge of a grand final sweep here in the UCS European Finals.
Truly unbelievable. It's another objective secure with the Revenant Ren for Toon Slim. This time on the most important that you could possibly hope for. Gen 5. They had every win condition available to them, known to anybody in the pro scene. But Nouns Esports had the one wild card that you could possibly hope for. Just send it, and send it they did. The letter has been posted, and Nouns Esports on the precipice of breaking Gatlu's Event 2 curse.
1 minute left. We may be deciding our December regional champion. Here, the United Championship Series, Gen 5, desperate to get some scores on the board. Hadron Engine's gonna boost that tier 2 goal zone. 17 points in double time will make that 34. This still is a game. Blissey is gonna go for a back score, but Lunder is the first to fall for Gen 5. A KO streak for 2 for Utah. They're gonna continue scoring, and I think the only one left standing here in this path is Gatlu, the captain of Nouns Esports, able to hold on. Another 10 points. I think this is the time to call it. Nouns Esports, the winner of the December finals.
They've got themselves a Rings Unbound, but they don't have shields, and they most certainly don't have AOS energy, folks. 378 to 591. It is going to take a miracle to turn this one around. Bright Future, Meteor Storm, everything being thrown at this goal zone, but it don't matter. It is a full sweep day here at the Unite Championship Series in Europe, and Nouns Esports have claimed the crown for a second consecutive event.
A valiant effort definitely by Gen 5. As we go back to the scores table, our grand finals, 2-0 Nouns Esports, your final score. 591 Nouns Esports to Gen 5's 378. A razor edge separating the two going into the final stretch, but a blitz play by Nouns Esports ripping the Rayquaza, the Dream, the prize pool away from Gen 5. All of the momentum for Gen 5